it's Sharon. I'm so sorry that it's been so long since I've last shared a video. I can't quite believe actually it's been so long. Today I've put together a quick video just showing a couple of different foiling techniques. I've been playing around with my Sizzix mixed media dies, and I've recently bought the Spellbinders glimmer foiling system, and you don't get amazing results with using normal dies in these foiling systems as opposed to using the proper foiling plates that they make, but you can get quite a nice result for a background, so I thought I'd have a play around with that. So to start with, I've grabbed some of my oxide sprays, and I've got picked raspberry, sponge sugar and Victorian velvet, and this is watercolour card I'm using, and I'm just giving them a shake, and I'm literally just putting them in a kind of ombre, I suppose, starting with the brightest and then working from that dark pink down to the, well, it looks a completely different colour here while it's wet, but it will be a kind of pale lavender sort of colour. Now I'm giving this a dry with my heat tool because I'm too impatient to wait, but you probably do get a nicer result if you let it air dry. So I've given that a good blast with the heat tool, and I'll put it to one side, just it's still a little bit wet, and I'm going to do another one just so that I can try two different things here. Now I've only got two other distress sprays in the oxides. I've got iced spruce and shabby shutters, I think this is. So I'm just grabbing a normal distress spray. This is Twisted Citron. And they work quite well together. That you don't get the chalky effect with the normal distress inks that you do with the oxides, but the way they'll all sort of merge together is going to create quite a nice different look anyway, so it's fine to mix and match between the two. You don't have to stick to just one, and you know, you don't have to have every colour of everything. You can make do with a few of each, as I've done here. I've only actually got a couple of the normal distress ones. I'm definitely going to build up more of a supply of the oxides because I really do like that chalky look. So I've just bought the 3 pink ones yesterday, so as each release comes out I'm going to grab my favourites. So again, I'm drying this with the heat tool as much as possible, and then I'll set it aside to dry a bit more before I move on to the next stage, because I do need these to be dry. So while they're drying a bit more, I've grabbed my mixed media die set. This is a set from last year, and I thought it would be quite nice to play with these. I've got my foldaway out, and I'm just going to run these through. I'm cutting this from some stencil film. If you haven't seen the stencil film before, it's a really useful thing to have, made by Sizzix, and I've had it quite a few times on my Hachanda shows and it always sells out. It's kind of like a thin vellum, but the advantage you get with it is because it is thin, you don't get any kind of halo effect, as you sometimes do if you use card to create a stencil because of the thickness of the card. Now because this is a really intricate die, I'm being really careful with this because it is quite thin, this stencil film, and I don't want to tear it. So I'm using my brush as well just to tease it out of the die so that I can keep it intact. And then that's my stencil. I can just poke out the last few bits and it's ready to use as a stencil. So that green one's pretty dry. It's not 100% dry, which is now going to cause me a few issues, as you'll see. I've sprayed some repositionable adhesive on the back of this, but because that oxide ink it's obviously a bit damp, this just isn't sticking very well, and I'm too impatient to just give it 10 minutes and wait. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off this side piece that really isn't wanting to stick at all, so that it's not in my way. And I'm going to make do with this as it is, because this is a background and it's not, I don't mind if it's not perfect, to be honest. So as long as I can keep this as stuck down as possible so that I don't get any of the medium sort of seeping under, then I'm just going to go with it because, as I say, I'm too impatient. So I've got my Deco Art, this is Decofoil transfer gel, and I'm just going to use this with a spatula to to sort of put it through that stencil. And you don't need much at all. And I'm being careful not to overwork this because obviously that stencil isn't particularly stuck down very well. So, but it's done the job. And this needs about 10 minutes to dry now. It will go clear once it's dry, so you'll know. So I'm just going to put that to one side and we're going to have a play now with the Spellbinders glimmer foiling system. I've grabbed that same mixed media die, but I'm a bit concerned because it's a bit warped in the middle where I've obviously used it so much. And I'm a bit concerned that it's not going to get hot in the middle if it's not touching. So I'm just helping it by pushing it down with the metal tweezers you get. And I've grabbed some rose gold foil. Now with this system, obviously these dies aren't what this is designed for. You do get proper foiling metal plates that have got a proper edge for this foiling. What you're going to get when you use normal dies like this with a foiling system, it's only going to put foil on the very fine line, which is basically the cutting area. So you are just going to get a very delicate outline of the image rather than a bold look. The other card that we've put that paste through will give us a bold look because we've used it as a stencil. So just to manage your expectations, this isn't going to be some beautiful foiling. You're going to see a very delicate effect here. But I like it, and I think it gives you more use from your foiling system if you do have a play around with the dies you've already got. So now that's heated up, I can just pull that platform out and run it through my Big Shot. And let's have a look. Now, it's quite hard to see on camera actually because it is very delicate. It has foiled the area where the cutting lines are. It's a bit faint in areas, and I think that's probably because the oxides are a bit chalky and it hasn't stuck that well. I did run one through just on white card with some silver foil, and you can see it has done all the areas. So I don't think it was where my die was a bit warped. I think it was more the oxides resisting it a little bit. But I like that look. It gives a delicate look. And I thought I'd have a go with one of the other dies from this set. And this one has got a lovely floral image. Again, you're only going to get a fine line where the sort of floral is. But I thought this would be quite nice as well in rose gold on this pink. So I quickly did another background the same as the others. And I'm just putting the rose foil on top. Then my watercolour card. And then I'm using both plates. I'm basically, for this system, because the Spellbinders Platinum machine, I think the depth for the plates is pretty much the same as the Big Shot. So I've actually just followed the instructions as if I was using the Spellbinders machine. So I've used both of the plates that come with it, and then I just run this whole thing through my Big Shot with none of my Sizzix plates. And that seems to give the right result. Obviously, you're not cutting with it. You just want enough pressure for the foil to stick, but you don't want to cut. So now that one's come out a bit stronger, probably just because of the design of the die, but I really like that. It is very delicate, but you just get the foil catching the light. So the other one that we've already done, all I've done for this one is put some gold foil on, and then this one I've run through a laminating machine. I've got a really cheap office laminating machine, which was about £8, I think, and it gives a really strong result. When you use the adhesive spray to stick down your stencil, you get a bit of an overspray, and you will find you get flecks of gold just where you've got bits of adhesive. But again, it's a background and I quite like that look. So I quickly put these together into cards, and all I've done is I've grabbed this Sizzix Everyday Sentiments die set and just die cut some sentiments to go on top, and I've picked colours that match the background. So that's it. 3 quite quick cards. The backgrounds obviously took a while, but the cards themselves took minutes to put together. So I would definitely recommend spending maybe an afternoon creating a whole load of backgrounds. Then the actual cards themselves take minutes to make. So it's a good fun technique to try. So if you've got one of those foiling machines, I would definitely recommend having a play around with some of the dies you might already have. Hopefully you've enjoyed that video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And hopefully I'll be back with another video soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.